She was a journalist for decades at places like Channel 5 in Chicago and The Today Show and Inside Edition for many, many years. And now she's trying on a new role. She's a game show host. Excited to talk to her today. Well, today we're going to be speaking with Deborah Norville.
The following is a Tony Lasano podcast, an Opie show on the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. This is the Minutia Man Celebrity Interview with Rick and Dave.
Welcome to the show, Deborah.
Thank you.
I know you're not from Chicago originally, but we've always kind of considered you one of our own here from your time here at NBC5. In the mid-'80s, you were here,
yeah.
and I know a bunch of people that worked with you and all speak highly of you. And I even met you in passing when we were both covering the Democratic primaries in 1984, just to go back, way back in time.
Do you remember how cold that was?
I do.
That was so cold. Walter Mondale was running, and I remember chasing him around the Chicago area, and I just remember thinking, why can't this man do events indoors? Everything he did was outdoors, and it was so bloody cold. So it's great to be on your program. Thank you for having me.
Sure. Well,
yes, I consider Chicago Minnesota. My second home. He didn't know that it was cold.
Right. Exactly. So what are some of your memories from living here in Chicago? You must have
I have
some.
So many. In fact, as I'm sitting here, it's so great. I'm at the corner of Halstead and Washington, actually, between, Randolph and Washington. And it's just, first of all, the skyline is so different, but it's really fun to see like old places that I remember. I was over at the Prudential Center earlier today when I was going up Lakeshore Drive. I was like, oh, there's my old building. That's where I used to do my morning run. It's just great to be back because for me, my 5 years in Chicago was really when I grew up. I was 23 when I came here, and coming from Georgia in January with a Southern accent and blonde hair, everybody just assumed I was dumb as a brick. And because who in their right mind moves to Chicago in January? And so I just really had to work super hard to prove myself to everybody else and probably prove myself to me too. And then, as I think it still is, Chicago was regarded as one of the toughest news markets in the country. I mean, you know that. You were out on the street. So
yep.
if you could make it here, you could make it anywhere, was kind of the way it was.
One of my friends is Chuck Quinzio, who was a photographer at Channel 5. And I worked with him. Yes. In fact, he told me an incredible story about a time that you guys got stuck in a crossfire of gunshots at Cabrini Green. Does that ring a bell at all?
100%. And I remember being told that there were certain colors that you shouldn't wear. And I'm like, why? They don't look good on camera? And the person said, no, because they're the colors of a certain gang, and you'll get shot if you wear them. I'm like, what are you talking? I just like we didn't have gangs in the South. Latin kings. What are those, like kings of Ecuador and Peru? I just did not know what any of this was. And so, yes, we would, and it was after that, I think, that they started at Channel 5. They started when we would go to a place like Cabrini Green or the projects down on the South Side. They would give us an off-duty cop who came with us.
Yeah, I mean,
because it was just not safe for the crew to be there without somebody being an extra pair of eyes.
Yeah, it was dangerous. I mean, it was. And a lot of times anchors don't. People think that anchors do not pay their dues, or they're sitting there in the studio. But you were out there. You had to cover these stories.
Oh, and I loved it. What I didn't love was the cold. Not that anybody does, but the one thing I realized pretty early on was your pens don't work when you're outside reporting. I had to keep pencils in my pocketbook because you think about it, your ballpoint pen freezes unless you had one of those expensive pens that they said the astronauts use, which I don't believe for a second. But I had to use pencils to write my notes because the pen didn't work. It was that cold. And then I remember I would do my stand-ups. And, you've got all the cold weather gear, so you'll stay warm when you're outside, multiple layers of gloves and all that sort of stuff. But I would pull off my ugly hat right before I would do the stand-up on camera because who wants to see that ugly hat on TV? I would get letters from people, email didn't exist yet, from ladies saying, little girl, put your hat on. You'll catch your death of cold. I'm like, okay. I'd write them back if I could. And I'd tell them that my hat was on until just that moment I pulled it off.
Yeah, that was always the worst story. The go out in the cold and report how cold it is story.
Yes. Or, remember it was like you would take the glass of water and watch it freeze, or the bubbles. You'd make the bubbles. You'd make frozen bubbles. Yeah. So the things we did to fill up airtime.
So you were a journalist for 45 years in various different roles. You covered just about every big story during that time. Are there one or two stories or a couple of stories that have stuck with you the most from your journalism days?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's 9/11.
Of course,
kind of, and everything else. And it's interesting because on September 11th, I was actually in Washington, D.C. I'd gotten a last-minute request to fill in for Lance Armstrong, who was supposed to give a opening speech for a conference that Newsweek was having, and he had to cancel. So last minute, I popped down to Washington. I gave what I thought was an awesome speech, starting the day off right at 8:45 or something like that. And when I finished 25, 30 minutes later, Rick Smith, the editor, said, that was great, Deborah. Thank you so much. I know Deborah needs to leave to cover some breaking news events, and I just need to let you all know about a situation in New York. We're going to take a little pause, and here's why. And he proceeds to explain that one plane has hit a building. And I thought I'd done a great job of the speech, and then that wasn't a very good thing. And then he says, there's breaking news and this thing about the building. So I'm trying to call New York and find out what's going on, and couldn't get through because all the reasons that we know. Anyway, long story short, I ended up doing Inside Edition from the top of the Chamber of Commerce building with the White House behind me on one side, and you could see the SWAT guys like every 10 feet. And behind me, over my other shoulder, was the smoke still billowing from the Pentagon.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. And Inside Edition's coverage that day, which I don't think was seen by anybody in America because we were preempted by all the networks, but we still have to feed a show. Our coverage was unbelievable. We had a crew that coincidentally was down by the World Trade Center. And when the buildings started falling, they started running. And the cameraman had the presence of mind to turn his camera and carry it in his hand hanging down, but with the lens facing behind him. And so you basically saw the rear view.
Oh,
and what
wow.
you saw was the cloud of black coming. And then you saw everything in the image go dark. And all you could hear was the huff and puff and the sound of feet on the pavement and the grit and the cries and the screams. So our audience experienced what people in the blast zone experienced, who were not in the building, obviously. It was incredible coverage.
Amazing.
And yeah, so, 9/11 obviously stands out. There was another interview I did years before that, 1991, with Margaret Thatcher. She was Prime Minister of Great Britain at the time, and I was the first interview she was doing on the eve of the beginning of the UN General Assembly. And in the commercial break beforehand, she said, "How much time do we have?" I said, it's live TV, 4 minutes, maybe 4.5 if we're lucky. And she said, "Oh, so you'd like my answer snappy?" I said, "Yeah, snappy would be great." And she then very snappily proceeded to tell me and the world that over dinner the night before, she and President Bush 41 had decided a resolution from the UN authorizing the invasion of Iraq would be nice, but they didn't consider it necessary. And as a journalist, the soundbite bell goes off in your head, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, major news was just made. And indeed, the soundbite bell on the wire machines around the world went off. And it wasn't just what she said, which was monumental. It was the way she said it, with such certitude and such strength, like, ooh, if I'm Saddam Hussein, I don't think I want this lady invading me because she means business. It was a very sobering moment.
Coming from where you came from in Georgia, and being in a moment like that, did you ever pinch yourself and go, I cannot believe that I'm here doing this right now?
I have a permanent bruise spot on my arm from pinching myself. I am from the carpet capital of the world. My hometown is known for inventing the wall-to-wall carpet. My daddy was in the carpet business. Everybody was in the carpet business, or the dentist for the man who was. My high school graduating class had 162 people. How in God's green earth did I end up getting to do any of this? And all I can say is I am supremely grateful for all of it.
So the move from journalist to game show host, not exactly a straight line, let alone a perfect line.
Didn't have that on your game card, did you?
No, I really didn't. But, a show like this that you're hosting now, I watched it a little bit. You're still dealing with facts, right? Even if it's trivia, some of the strange things that you're learning on the show must kind of be fun. Right?
It's so much fun. Yes. And I've been collating those things and putting them out on my Instagram just because I think these are like crazy interesting facts. Like, did you know an average ear of corn has 802 kernels on it? Or a box of Raisin Bran has between 222 and 253, I believe is the number, individual raisins. You would know that if you watch The Perfect Line, because that's some of the crazy weirdo stuff we share in the course of playing the game.
So I've watched it. It's kind of hard to explain. I'm sure you've got an elevator pitch explaining the format.
I'll give you the elevator pitch.
Let's hear it.
Here's The Perfect Line. The Perfect Line is a game show where you can win money if you just put things in the logical order or perfect order. So you build a perfect line by putting things either from lowest to highest, from least to most, from youngest to oldest. And the great thing about this game show is you can guess, and you have a chance of being in the money. With every other game show that I can think of, if you guess, you're probably not going to guess right. Like, you can't guess on Jeopardy. You can't say what is if you don't know what the subject is in answering the questions on Jeopardy. But with The Perfect Line, especially if you've got the first clue. So let's play it together. So let's say so I'm in Chicago right now. We're talking about Chicago. Let's talk about famous Chicago people, and let's put them in order from the year they were born, starting with the oldest to the youngest. I'll put the first famous Chicago person up. It's Pope Leo. Pope Leo was born in 1955. Okay, you get the second famous Chicagoan, Rick, and your famous Chicagoan is Harrison Ford. Is Harrison Ford older or younger than Pope Leo?
He's older.
Very good. You're in the money.
Yeah.
Bing, bing, bing. See how easy that was?
All right.
But
what do I win? What do I win?
Well, what you win is money for that round. And if you're the guy with the most money at the end of 4 rounds, you get a chance to play and take that money home.
Well, it looks like a fun game. What are the challenges for you in making that change to game show host? It's a totally different thing, right? I mean,
completely different. And that's why, honestly, it appealed to me, because it was something new and completely different. It was something I had never done before. I've been a contestant on game shows, but it's a totally different thing to be the host of it. So the things that are really different for me, I'm pretty good. By this point, I've got a metronome in my head. I know how many seconds things are, and I can now sort of feel this is taking too long. We need to, move on. So I've got that sort of built in. But for me, the challenges were doing the math, like trying to add up the scores really quickly, even though they have a person who's doing that.
Yeah.
You want to know, okay, this guy's in the lead. This is likely going to happen. So you're doing that in the back of your head while you're trying to talk to the people. And the other thing was, we have 4 contestants, and on most episodes, we do have a moment that we get to do a quick little debrief of that person, just one little fun fact that we get to share. And so the challenge is, how can I, A, make that person feel comfortable enough that they're not scared to death talking to me on TV, and B, draw out of them something that's interesting and fun and is going to make the person at home really like this guy or gal and really pull for them to win. And I have
keep
like
it snappy.
25 seconds to do that.
Yeah,
and keep it snappy.
Like Margaret Thatcher would have liked.
Yeah, keep it snappy. And so that's been a fun challenge for me trying to do it.
So what time and what channel is it on here in Chicago?
Here in Chicago, you can see it at 7:30 every evening on WCIU, the U.
Okay, now, it's not a daytime television show then. It's a nighttime show.
Yeah, it is. No. We air in all day parts. In fact, we air in more cities. I would say we probably air in the afternoon, like 3, 4 o'clock, usually somewhere in the neighborhood of the local news programs.
All right. Well, the reason I ask is because this year you won a special daytime Emmy Lifetime Achievement Award.
I did.
So, and now you're carrying on the I don't know, the honor, I guess. What did that award mean to you, winning that?
It was so not something that I ever expected, and it floored me and it humbled me, because my first thought was, oh my gosh, somebody was watching. All these years, all these things I've been doing, trying to do them as well as I could, they were paying attention. and they noticed. And wow, they're actually like giving me this recognition for all this stuff. And the really nifty thing was that recognition came just weeks after, Lifetime Achievement Awards come kind of at the end of everything.
Yeah.
And I was receiving this Lifetime Achievement Award just a few weeks after I launched the first episode of The Perfect Line. So how blessed am I that I'm being recognized for what I've done so far and still getting the opportunity to do something new and fun that I'm so pleased is supported by, our great stations like the one here in Chicago that are, making sure that people know about this show and want everybody to have fun watching it.
Okay, just one more quick thing before I let you go. So now that you've been a journalist and you've been a game show host, give me your Mount Rushmore of journalists, the TV journalists, and then give me your Mount Rushmore of game show hosts.
Okay, my Mount Rushmore of TV journalists would be Mike Wallace, Diane Sawyer, Dan Rather, and Brian Ross.
Oh, well, those are good ones.
Okay. And my Mount Rushmore of TV game show hosts would be present company excluded, because you have to do it for a long time to make Mount Rushmore. I would put Alec Trebek. I would put Bob Barker. I would put Jim Lang from The Dating Game.
Oh, I loved him.
And how many does Mount Rushmore have? Is it 3 or 4? I can't remember.
4. One more. You got to give me one more.
Okay. And then my other one would be Bill Cullen, who was the host of Concentration, which was one of my favorite shows.
I remember him well.
Although Monty Hall, that's hard.
Uh-oh.
I'd get a bigger mountain.
Okay. Well, thanks for being on the show. I appreciate it very much, and I wish you the best.
I really appreciate it. It's so great talking with you. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.
And there she goes. That's Deborah Norville. She's sweet. Very nice chatting with her. We have people to thank for this show. Thank you to Susan, who helped us arrange it over at WCIU. Also, thanks, of course, to Tony Lasano, the executive producer of the show. We need to thank him. We need to thank Ed Silla, the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. Great people think that Great Talk Radio is dead, but really it's just moved to a better place, which is RadioMisfits.com. And we'll be back again soon with another episode of Minutia Men Celebrity Interview.
The proceeding was a presentation of the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. Find our other great shows on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and at RadioMisfits.com. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
This has been a presentation of Opie Productions.
Tony, can you shut up?
I have a permanent bruise spot on my arm from pinching myself.